Hello guys, today I will be solving this projectile motion equation. The question states a ball is thrown upward from the top of a 50-foot building with an initial velocity of 40 feet per second. Find 1, the maximum height, 2, the time it takes to reach said height, and 3, the time when the ball hits the ground. So to start, we can start out with the equation of h equals minus 16t squared plus the initial velocity of 40 t, and then plus the initial height, which is 50. Okay, and then once we're here, if we are looking for the maximum height and the time it takes to reach the maximum height, they're kind of counterintuitive, as when you have to find one to find the other. So we're actually going to start with 2 here, and that'll be just vertex formula, because you can think of this as a graph of t and h. So think t and h would give you the time it takes to reach maximum height. So we're gonna just use a vertex formula here of negative b over 2a. So it'll be negative 40 over negative 32, because negative 40 and then negative 16 times 2. And then we're going to simplify this down to be 5 over 4, which also equals 1.25. 1.25 squared, because you would have to then plug this back into this equation for t to find the maximum height. So this is 2 right here. 2 equals 1.25, the time it takes to reach the maximum height. So we can put a check right here. And then when we plug back in this 1.25, that'll be negative 16 times 1.25 squared, which is 1.562. Mess that up. 1.5625. Okay. When you multiply these up together, you will get negative 25 plus 40 times 1.25 plus 50. And then 40 times 1.25 equals 50. So then now this is the equation to get to the maximum height. Negative 25 plus 50 is 25 plus 50 equals 75. 75 will be the maximum height. 75 feet, that is. Make sure we're using units. So now to find the time when the ball hits the ground, it's a little bit more tricky. We're going to have to go to the quadratic formula. And saying that when the ball is on the ground would imply that the h here, the height, is 0. So we're going to make a whole new equation. 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 40t plus 50. And then this might actually be factorable. I'm not exactly sure, but we can pull out a negative 2. So 0 equals negative 2. I'm just going to GCF here just to make it easier. 8t squared minus 20t minus 25. And then I think we are going to have to use the quadratic formula. So for the quadratic formula, you can do x equals negative b over 2a, which we've already found to be 1.25, plus or minus the discriminant, which would be b squared, which in this case 20 is b, is the b value, so that would be 400, and then minus 4 times a times c. So we can multiply a and c right here, because that's just easy, 200. So then that would be plus 800. Okay. So then x equals 1.25 plus or minus square root of 1200 over 2 times a, which in this regard would be 16. Sorry about that, guys. I just had to go grab my graphing calculator. We can see that the 1200 square root here equals 34.64. So we can go x equals 1.25 plus or minus 34.64 over, what do we have, 16. Okay, and then once we just do this division here, I'm going to move this problem up here to where there's room. That would be x equals 1.25 plus or minus 34.64 divided by 16, which is 2.165. And then in this regard, the negative sign in the plus or minus is completely irrelevant because time can never be negative. So you can think of this as just 1.25 plus 2.165. And then 1.25, so that'll be 5, 1, 1, 4, 3, which would round to 3.42. So x equals 3.42, which would be the answer for time when the ball hits the ground. All right, thank you guys for tuning in and listening to my tutorial. And if there's any other Algebra 1 or Geometry or Algebra 2 topics you'd like to be gone over, just comment and I will try my best to get that done. So thank you guys and have a good one.